Hello everyone, today is 7th of December. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, first of all, let's have a look on today's GS fodder. So today we will be taking a quote from the Mazen Darwish, who is a Syrian activist and a lawyer and has been the winner of 2015 UNESCO World Press Freedom Prize. He says, "No prison is big enough to contain the free speech." Now, guys, this particular quote becomes very much relevant into the present times, where the people's freedom of speech is being taken up by various number of legislations. And case in point is the recent amendment which was tried to be floated by the Kerala government via an ordinance, under which the Kerala Police Act 2011 was to be amended, and the provisions with respect to the containing of the free speech were to be levied. Guys, onto the similar lines, various legislations across the world are being framed. So onto this particular light, if any question comes, we can provide this particular quote into the defense of the free speech. Guys, this particular thing you can utilize in your GS paper number 2. So guys, that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis. Now, guys, this particular article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the rat hole mining into the Meghalaya. Now, guys, it has been provided into this particular news that a village into the Meghalaya, that is the Mula Mailang, which was very much notorious for the rat hole mining, is now turning against that particular practice, and it is converting itself into entirely a green zone. Now, guys, let's see that what is this red hole mining and what are the issues associated with it. Now, guys, see, when we talk particularly about the Meghalaya has the huge reserves of the coal, and according to the government's data, more than 640 million ton of coal reserves are there into the Meghalaya. But guys, apart from this particular thing, Meghalaya has one geographical problem. The problem is that the coal seams where into the mines, they are extremely thin, and as they are very thin, then guys, it is not commercially viable to develop these mines into entire structure and to support their roof with the pillars and all these kind of things. So guys, what has happened, the coal here is basically exploited by the people, by the local community only. They just dig a kind of a hole, and into this particular hole, a person or a small kid, they go there, and they basically mine the coal from their bare hands. Now, guys, into this particular thing, there are large number of problems. Number one issue here is that guys, what happens, as large number of such rat holes are being mined, the trees are being cut down, and then there is no afforestation. Now, if it would have been the commercial mining, then guys, the laws are such that the commercial afforestation also has to be carried. Then guys, what had happened, as after the mining, these particular rat holes, they are left unattended. With the coming of rain, there is the run of water which comes from this particular mine, and it mixes with the water table into the nearby region. It merges with the rivers, and by that particular thing, the river health is turning very much bad. And guys, there are the entire rivers which has turned into the acidic rivers. Moreover, guys, these rat hole mines, they are also unsafe for the workers. And in 2008, there was a very big disaster into the Meghalaya, because guys, there was a flooding into one of the river, and by that particular thing, these rat holes, they got flooded and the workers were trapped. And because of this particular thing, the rat hole mining into the Meghalaya has been banned by the National Green Tribunal in 2014. However, guys, when we see this particular thing, there are some other complexities which are also associated. See, into the region of particularly Meghalaya, guys, the commercial viability is not that much, and actually by the rat hole mining only, there are large number of people who are getting the employment. And banning this particular thing is also posing the problems, and there are the civil rights activists which have voiced the concerns that how the people will then be getting the livelihood. So guys, this is the entire issue into this particular direction. Now, guys, into the newspaper, this particular article came because one of the village which was practicing the this rat hole mining, and because of this, there was the huge destruction of the ecology. Now they are turning back to the green zone, and they are abandoning this particular traditional practice. So guys, that's all about this particular news article. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular news article has been taken from the Indian Express, and the similar articles are also being carried in many of the newspapers. Now guys, what has happened? Here we will be seeing an important map entry, that is the island of the Bhasan Char. Now guys, what is this entire issue and why it has become important? We will be taking it from the very scratch. See guys, you might have heard about the Rohingya crisis that is going into the Myanmar. Now guys, in the if we talk about Myanmar, it is basically a Buddhist populated country, and the Rohingyas, they are the Muslims, and because of their religion, the people of Myanmar don't consider Rohingyas as the rightful citizens of the Myanmar. And because of this particular thing, the Rohingyas are facing the persecution into the Myanmar, particularly the Rakhine region of Myanmar. And guys, because of this thing, large number of Rohingyas, they are fleeing from Myanmar and are going to the nearby countries. Now guys, since 2016, more than 7 lakh of Rohingyas have been fled, and they people have actually came to the Bangladesh. Now guys, into Bangladesh, basically when the Rohingyas are coming, they are lodged themselves into one of the location, that is the Cox Bazar. But into the Cox Bazar, their population has now increased so much that now it is not possible to accommodate any more Rohingyas here into this Cox Bazar. So guys, what had happened? Now the Bangladesh is considering a new location for the Rohingyas, and this new location is here. Please see onto the map. It is the Bhasan Char Island, and because of this relocation, actually much concerns have been raised. Now guys, first of all, if I tell you what is the plan of the Bangladesh government, the plan is that nearly 1 lakh of the Rohingyas from the Cox Bazar, they will be relocated to this new island, that is the Bhasan Char Island. Now guys, when we talk about this Bhasan Char Island, it was actually formed around 2006. It is an island which has been formed by the silt which is being deposited by the Meghna river, which flows from the Bangladesh. Now guys, as this particular island, it has been made by the silt, it has been called that it is just a kind of a mud flat, and being this, there are no resources there. Moreover, the geography of this particular island is very much unstable, and actually relocating the Rohingyas into this particular region will be posing the problems into the times to come. Now guys, the government of Bangladesh, they had actually created the structures here. Into these particular structures, the housings have been made for the Rohingyas. Rohingyas have also been called that okay, here they can involve into the cultivation and all such kind of things. But guys, still the government of Bangladesh is being criticized. So criticisms are mainly three. Number one, already I have told you that this particular island was created by the siltation, and guys, it is therefore very much unstable, and it has also been called as the floating island. Now the problem is this, that during the time of the monsoon, this particular island, it gets submerged, and even now a portion of this particular island is submerged under the water. So basically, whether it can provide a kind of a stable housing and all such kind of thing, it is a problem here. Secondly guys, it has actually been provided here that the Rohingyas, they cannot leave this particular island and can go anywhere else, and this particular thing has raised the international concern, because by this particular way they are just treating the Rohingyas as a prisoner into this particular location. Thirdly guys, it has been said that the people who will be living into this Bhasan Char, they cannot transact any Bangladeshi currency. Why? Because Bangladesh has not given them the status of the refugees. They are still the illegal migrants, and because of these particular things, the concerns have been raised that whether it is a kind of a half-hearted attempt by the Bangladesh or some real development is being sought about. So guys, this is the entire issue. Now when we are talking about Rohingyas, Rohingyas have been called as one of the most persecuted community into the world by the United Nations High Commissioner for the Refugees. However guys, there is one more problem here into this particular context. See, as we are talking about Myanmar, the Myanmar's ruling leader right now is the Aung San Suu Kyi, and she has always been called as the champion for the civil rights, and even for this particular thing, Aung San Suu Kyi was given the Nobel Peace Prize, and when she came to the power, then it was expected that she will be bringing some kind of genuine settlement for the Rohingya crisis, but even she had not brought any meaning meaningful reforms. And guys, even the recent election which happened into the Myanmar, there the Rohingyas were not allowed to give the vote, and guys, still the crisis is going on, which is raising some genuine doubts onto the leadership of the Aung San Suu Kyi also. So guys, this is the entire issue into this particular direction, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article is from the Hindu newspaper, and it is talking about the recent issue which has happened under the United Nations General Assembly, where India had basically criticized the United Nation Alliance of Civilizations. Now, guys, this United Nation Alliance of Civilization, it was actually formed in 2005, and it is an initiative which calls for international action against the extremism, and it has passed a memorandum where it had said that the Islamism, Christianity, and Judaism, they will be protected against the extremism. Now, guys, the United Nation Alliance of Civilization says that into the world there is a tendency going on, that is the Islamophobia, Christianophobia, as well as the anti-Semitism, and against these particular tendencies the countries should come together. Now, guys, the India had said that this is basically the selective protecting which has been shown by the UNAOC. They had said that why the UNAOC is failing to note the attacks that has happened onto the shrines of the Hinduism, Sikhism, and Buddhism into the countries such as the Pakistan and Afghanistan. And even India had said that the UNAOC had failed to note the atrocities that are happening onto these religious communities into these particular countries, and had said that actually Pakistan is emerging out to be the center of the hatredness, but that particular thing has not been duly noted. Now, this particular concern which has been raised by India, it is a genuine concern, and it is needed to be noted by the UNAOC. But guys, into the article it has been provided that this particular thing can also backfire against the India also, because India had also passed the Citizenship Amendment Act, and under the Citizenship Amendment Act it has been said that the Muslims have not been provided any kind of protection, and onto this particular ground even India could also be criticized, that India had also done the same thing when it is criticizing the UNAOC. Now, guys, as we are talking about this particular issue, you need to understand that, guys, this is the time that we all need to rise above the religious divides and need to appreciate the fabric of the fraternity, as well as the cultures, traditions. All these particular things are needed to be seen under a larger perspective. Here, into this particular direction, the ideas given by the Tagore, that is the idea of cosmopolitanism, becomes very much important. Now, guys, this is the entire issue into this particular direction, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article is talking about the recent decision by the Monetary Policy Committee, where they have not changed the benchmark rate. Now, guys, what had happened? Now, guys, as you might be knowing that in order to bring the economic stabilization in India, we run two type of policy. One is the fiscal policy and other is the monetary policy. Fiscal policy is basically the domain of the government. Under fiscal policy, government determines that what expenditure is to be carried and in what way the receipts are to be taken up. It pertains to the taxes, it pertains to the government expenditures and all these kind of things. However, guys, when we talk about monetary policy originally was practiced by the Reserve Bank of India, but now for monetary policy we had established a monetary policy committee, which is a 6-member committee under which the members from the government as well as members from the RBI both are there. The chairman of the MPC is the RBI's governor. Now, guys, MPC basically drives the monetary policy, and its aim are basically two. Number one, to control the inflation in India, and number two, maintain the adequate money supply. This money supply should not be too much, or as well as it not should be very much less also. Now, guys, when we are talking into this particular direction, what has happened? Just to control these particular two things, from time to time the benchmark rate, the repo rate, is announced. Now, guys, repo rate is that particular rate at which the banks can borrow the money from the Reserve Bank of India. Now, guys, if in India we are facing a situation of inflation, usually the benchmark rate or repo rate it is increased so that money becomes a little bit expensive and inflation should come in control. Now, guys, into the recent decision that has been taken by the Monetary Policy Committee, monetary it has basically kept the benchmark rate unchanged. A status quo has been adopted. Now, see, basically, if we see the present conditions, then guys, the inflation is actually higher than what has been targeted by the Reserve Bank of India. Now, guys, if I give you some background here, see, Urjit Patel Committee was constituted originally by the RBI to suggest that what needs to be inflation in India. Now, guys, on to the basis of Urjit Patel Committee, presently it is maintained that 4% plus minus 2% will be the inflation for India. It means that the lowest it could go is 2% and highest it can go it is 6%. Now, if we presently see, then the inflation is at the 6.3%, that it is above the highest band. And guys, as inflation is above, the basically normal course of action would have been that the benchmark rate should be increased so that the inflation can be controlled. But the benchmark rate has not been changed. So what it is indicating? It is indicating that RBI is right now more focused in bringing the growth into economy. Now, guys, this particular thing we know that if the benchmark rate will be increased, then the credit will become more expensive, and if credit will become more expensive, new loans will not be taken, and as new loans will not be taken, new investment will not be carried for the consumption as well as for the expansion. So therefore, the Reserve Bank of India now had favored more the growth, and even the inflation is being ignored, and this particular thing is not entirely bad also, seeing the present condition of the Indian economy. So guys, this is the recent Monetary Policy Committee and the viewpoint which has been adopted. So guys, that's all about this particular article. I hope that you have understood this, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now, guys, this particular article, it is talking about the recent economy prospect which has been released by the National Statistical Office, NSO. Now, guys, what has happened recently, NSO had given the second quarter estimates, and into the second quarter estimates, it has been said that economy is into the 7.5 contraction, which is basically an improvement over the first quarter estimates where minus 23.9% contraction was seen. Now, basically, it has been said by some of the people that it is actually a V-shaped recovery, because from minus 23.9% we had came back to the minus 7.5%, and it is a very good thing. Now, guys, basically it has been said that it is good. Some people are also pessimistic by this thing, and they are said that it is not a V-shaped recovery, because V-shaped recovery could only be when we have came to a positive trajectory, but still we are into a negative. So V-shaped recovery has not been there. Now, into this article, it has been said that when government first time notified that India will be seeing a V-shaped recovery, then there was some of the wrong assumptions which has been made. Number one, guys, the assumption was this, that this could have been true only if our economy would have been determined by the supply side. Now, supply side means that, just let's take one example. There was the lockdown which was announced. Into the lockdown, the factories were not able to function. Now, as it was said that the lockdown will be lifted and the factories will be functioning at the same level, the economy will be coming back and the V-shaped recovery will be there. So what we assumed that only the supply will be determining. But guys, we forgot one thing, that the demand is also very much important in deciding. You cannot simply give the supply if the demand is not there. Right now the demand is subdued, and because of this subdued demand, still we are seeing a kind of a negative growth. Now, guys, when the demand is to be seen, then demand basically comes from the three things. Number one, the private final consumption expenditure, that is the consumption which is being done by the individual, then by the exports, and third is by the government final consumption expenditure. Now, into the past few days, the private final consumption expenditure as well as exports, they have been good and they are basically increasing. But if we see the government final consumption expenditure, that is the government's procurement, government's buying, then actually it is less, and just by 25% it is lower, and because of this particular element our growth is basically being dragged down. Guys, even into the NSO it has been said that if we don't consider the decline into the governments, then our contraction would have only been just minus 4.1% against the minus 7.5% that we are having. So such important potential government is having. Now if you will see around the world, governments are going towards the fiscal stimulus package and are pumping more money, more procurement they are doing, but government in India is just doing the opposite, and it can be seen by the going down of the government final consumption expenditure. So guys, this is all into this particular direction, and the way forward needs to be such that government has to focus that how more expenditure they can carry so that the economy can come out from the negative growth. And guys, by this second quarter we even entered into the technical recession, so the urgent steps are needed to be taken. That's all about this particular article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article we can just use as a reference in some of the answers. See what has happened. Government is now has established an export promotion council for promoting the Ayush products. Now guys, the Ayush, it stands for the Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. Now see, the Ayush, the products here, they have been categorized as the alternate medications, and the alternate medication, particularly the Ayurveda, it has been recognized world over, particularly into the times of the COVID-19. Ayurveda holds an important utility because of the immunity boosting qualities that it can provide. Now guys, if we exploit the export potential of these Ayush products, then much of the benefit India can achieve. Number one, into the export earnings, they can play an important role. Guys, you have seen that India had persistently faced the problem of the current account deficit. Though right now the condition is not that much problematic, but still even a surplus can be attained here, and into the building up of the forex reserves the Ayush products can help us. After that guys, see, these Ayurveda, it also brings a kind of an element of the soft power of India, and by bringing their export, India can compete into the soft products against the hard technologies that are being provided by the countries such as the US as well as China. Then guys, when we talk about the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, under the Atmanirbharta, India's self-reliance will be fulfilled. Moreover guys, India, onto the India, other countries' dependence will increase if the Ayush products gain much popularity into the Western countries. So guys, for this particular thing, this particular move can be an important point. So that's it. Now we'll be taking up the next article. Now guys, here we can see a brief update that the Serum Institute of India, which is developing the Oxford vaccine, that is the Covishield, it has become the first institute which has applied for the emergency use authorization. Now guys, emergency use authorization already we have discussed into the newspaper discussion when we were taking up that how it is serving as a kind of a bridge between the phase 3 reportings as well as the final approval. Now after the emergency use authorization will be given, the Serum Institute's vaccine Covishield will be administered to the people. And I have also discussed that how India will be focusing on to the critical mass which will be given the vaccine onto the first priority basis. So guys, this is all about this particular thing, a very brief kind of update. So guys, that's all about the today's newspaper articles. I hope that you have understood it. Thank you so much.